All right, today we are cracking open a playbook that is usually kept under some serious lock and key. We're actually going to take you inside a private mastermind event to learn from the unfiltered stories of two founders, one who built a bootstrapped empire and another who navigated the venture-backed world to a nearly billion-dollar exit.
I mean, it's the headline everyone dreams of, right? The number that launches 1,000 startups. But what's really behind that number? It's a total maze of legal jargon, brutal negotiations, and some pretty surprising math. And as you're about to find out, that big, shiny price tag, yeah, it's almost never the full story.
Imagine this. You're a fly on the wall in a room where, just to get in the door, you need a business that's already making at least 50 grand a month. So you know this isn't some stuffy conference with pre-rehearsed speeches. Nope. This is the real, raw conversation that happens when people think the cameras are off.
So, to really get a handle on these two paths to the top, we're going to follow two incredible founders. On one side, you've got Gilm, who bootstrapped his company Lemlist all the way to $45 million in annual revenue. And on the other, there's Shahid, co-founder of the VC-backed giant Loom, which sold for almost $1 billion. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the bootstrap blueprint. Now, this is the path of just pure grit, right? Where your growth isn't fueled by some investor's giant checkbook, but by actual money from your actual customers. It's a completely different game. It's all about survival and building something that lasts.
So, Gilm's story, it actually starts with a whole lot of rejection. Get this, he pitched over 20 VCs, and every single one of them told him no. But that failure, it actually forced his hand. It made him build his company on one single non-negotiable rule. It had to be profitable from day one, period.
And for a bootstrapped business, there is one metric that is basically the holy grail. It's called net revenue retention, or NRR, and answers a really simple but incredibly powerful question. If we stopped getting new customers today, right now, would our company still grow?
And this quote from Gilm just perfectly explains the secret weapon of a great bootstrap business. See, when your NRR is over 100%, it means you've basically built a growth engine directly into your product. Your existing customers are so happy that they're just naturally spending more money with you over time. The business literally grows by itself.
And to show you just how powerful this is insane. The host of this whole mastermind, Aman Gaji, he revealed that his own company has an NRR of 140%. 140%. I mean, just think about that for a second. Without signing a single new client, his business would have still grown by 40% last year. That's not a business, that's a fortress.
Okay, so let's flip the script. Let's move to the total opposite side of the spectrum and see how the other half builds. The world of venture capital. Yeah, this is not about slow, patient growth. This is about strapping a rocket ship to your company, funded by investors who aren't just hoping for a good return, they are expecting a trip to the moon.
All right, so meet Shahid, one of the co-founders of Loom. Now, before he started Loom, he was actually a venture capitalist himself. He had all the contacts, he knew the game inside and out. You'd think raising money would be a walk in the park for him, right? The reality? He sent out 70 emails, and almost nobody even bothered to reply. Just crickets. It's a huge reminder that the VC path, it often starts with some pretty brutal, humbling rejection. No matter who you are.
Shade gives this really stark warning about something he calls the hype trap. You know the ones. You see these slick announcement videos. We just raised a massive round at $1 billion valuation. But he says, look, a lot of that is just marketing. The real health of the business under the hood, well, that can be a very, very different story.
Okay, so this brings us to probably the most misunderstood part of the whole journey, the exit. That giant payday that's supposed to change everything. But does it really work the way we all imagine?
So, check this out, $975 million. That was the acquisition price for Loom. Almost $1 billion. And it was an all-cash deal, which means, real immediate money. On paper, this is an absolute dream come true.
So the first thing you think is, okay, great. 3 founders, $975 million bucks. They each walk away with a cool $325 million. Simple math, right? Wrong. Not even close. That headline number is never, ever the whole story.
Okay, so here's where we get into the nitty-gritty. You have to understand a concept called dilution. Think of it like this. When the founders first started, they owned 100% of the company. It was all theirs. But with every single funding round, they have to sell off a piece of that company to investors. And with every piece they sell, their own slice of the pie just gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
And this right here, this is where the math gets really, really real. So after raising over $200 million from investors and giving stock options to their employees, that 100% that the founders started with, it's been sliced up like a pizza at a birthday party. Investors and employees now own a massive chunk of that billion-dollar pie. But wait, dilution is only half the battle. There's an even more important and honestly a potentially devastating term called liquidation preference. It's basically a clause in the contract that says investors get their money back first, before anyone else. And as Shahid warns, if you get this term wrong, you could sell your company for $1 billion and literally walk away with zero. Nothing.
Now, let's be super clear. The Loom founders did incredibly well for themselves, and they made sure that their early team members became millionaires too. Their story is, without a doubt, a massive success. But it's also a masterclass in a really vital lesson. That sale price you see in the headlines, that's not what lands in your bank account. The terms of the deal, that's what truly matters. So, okay, we've seen the patient, profitable path of the bootstrapper. And we've seen the high-stakes, all-or-nothing blitz of the VC-backed founder. So what's the real takeaway here? Which playbook is the right one?
And this is it. This is the whole ball game. The ultimate lesson from that exclusive room wasn't you should bootstrap or you should raise money. It was about something much deeper, profound self-awareness. It's about figuring out what your unique, unfair advantage is, the thing you can do better than literally anyone else, and then building your entire strategy around that one single strength. You know, whether you're building a company right now or just building your career, these principles are exactly the same. Just understanding the difference between the big, flashy headline and the messy reality underneath, that's the first step. So the real question isn't which path is better. The real question is, once you figure out your own advantage, what's your playbook going to look like?